Hello, Abby of Abby Tales Pet Services here, dog trainer, and I'm doing this video in partnership with Tails.com. The focus for this week is socialization, and specifically socialization during lockdown. So, important thing, socialization can be done and can be done effectively during lockdown. It can, so do not fear. Right. Key things that we're going to be discussing regarding socialization. So obviously the focus is puppies, but it can be done regarding dogs who haven't been socialized as pups properly. But I would suggest getting in touch with a trainer for this, because you may need to undo bad habits and negative associations that have occurred in the dog's past. So the focus is puppies here. So focus on you. Have the puppies focus on you. Have interaction on your terms with other dogs, other people, livestock, whatever. Advocate for your puppy. Keep calm and confident. So, by focus on you, I mean that you are more interesting than the traffic coming past. You're more interesting than the dog screaming at you over there. You're more interesting than people passing by, than a car backfiring, than an airplane going overhead. And this can all be done in the house and home before your pup has had all of its vaccinations. So the key training can be done before you start walking your puppy. So get your pup used to its name, work on recall, introduce and desensitize them to a lead and collar and harness if you really want to have them on that. But please don't attach a lead to the harness, attach it to a collar. Much more control there. Anyway. Yes, recall, heel when you've got them used to the lead, and you can do it without a lead as well, but best to do it together. Leave, the leave command is very important. Now all of these things I'm talking about here, I do have videos about on my YouTube channel, Abby Tales Pet Services, so I'm just giving a summary here. Stay, threshold training, and if you're going to be crate training, which I would suggest is very easy to establish when you're doing crate training, and you're going to take them outside to relieve themselves, so make sure you're doing threshold training at the back door and the front door. When you progress to the front door, have them on a long line for safety. I would most definitely invest in a long line. They are fabulous. I specifically like dog and field long line. It's great. 10 meters, you can get them in different colors, and I'm not affiliated with them, but it's a fabulous tool. So, work on focus being on you. When you are rewarding your pup for doing something that you've asked them to do, make sure they are giving you eye contact before you mark that behavior. Right? So when they sit, if you want to say good boy, yes, whatever, don't say it until they're looking at you. Same as when leave, stay. When you want to, when you've stopped, when you get to walking, when you've stopped at the side of the pavement and you want them to sit, when you want to walk on, they need to be looking at you. Yeah, so they're like, what we're doing now, that kind of thing. And if this becomes learned behavior and it becomes a habit, then when distractions come past or something that's slightly worrying for them that they haven't experienced, they're going to look to you instead of becoming worried and taking matters into their own hands. Yeah, so that's that in a nutshell. Interaction on your terms. Right, interaction with dogs, with people, with livestock, anything needs to be on your terms. The key thing regarding socialization in the social aspect is that you need to teach your dog to ignore other dogs, other people. It's you that they are focusing on, and you praise and reward them when they do ignore. So when you do eventually want them to interact with other dogs, and this should not be forced, and it's best to pick a dog that is well balanced and well socialized, so one that you know, especially for the first interaction, it is on your terms. I have a command that says say hi. So when I've deemed it appropriate, they can go and say hi. If I don't want them to say hi, now my dogs, to be honest, if I don't say that command, then they don't even, look at the other dog. But if I need to, I'll say leave. So this is why leave is so important to introduce. I use leave to leave objects and to leave dogs, people, all sorts of things. All right, so these commands that I'm kind of throwing in there I do discuss in other videos on my YouTube channel, Abby Tales Pet Services, so don't fear if some of these commands you don't know how to introduce to your pup. You can also message me as well, and I do a live Q&A every Monday at 7 on Facebook and Instagram. So, no fear. So yes, interaction on your terms. Advocate for your puppy. And this links in with interaction on your terms. So if you don't want someone to touch your pup, and this you should bear in mind whether you're comfortable with it, but also whether your puppy is okay with it. You need to look at their body language. If you don't want to, either because you don't want a person to touch your pup, or because you know your pup isn't happy with it, then you can keep them in the heel position. Or if you think that the person isn't going to listen, pop your pup behind you. And this is why I speak to my clients and advise them to teach the behind. You just say behind. It's like heel, but behind. So you can actually progress to having your dog walking behind you if you need to, in a narrow path or something like that. But in those cases, if someone's coming up to you that you don't want to interact with your dog, pop them behind you if needs be. You can also do this for a dog that's coming off lead and is out of control. And by out of control, they are not listening to their owner, whether they're friendly or not. It's rude behavior from the dog and irresponsible from the owner. So if a dog is coming up to you, pop your pup behind you. You are a barrier in those situations there. All right? Keep calm and confident. It will transfer down to your puppy when they're on the lead, obviously, because if you tense the lead, they'll feel it. And if they're off lead, even in the house, in the garden. I would suggest for pups, if they're not heeling, so you don't have them on a short heeling lead, they should be on a long line, because not only do you need to make sure that their recall is solid without distractions, you need to make sure that with distractions with other dogs and things and traffic, that they are coming straight back to you and you don't give them room to fail, because that can be dangerous. So, heeling lead, attached to a collar, or use a slip lead, or talk to me about other tools if you'd like, and then a long line. So those are the key things to bear in mind with puppies in general, and especially with socialization. Thing to throw in there, with socialization, you've got environmental and you've got the social aspects. So we've spoken about the social aspects, and we'll talk a little bit more detail regarding the timeline of socialization for pups between birth and 4 months, but I just want to mention some environmental things here. So by environmental socialization, I mean getting them used to different places, different sounds, different smells, different materials to walk over. And you can do all this in the house and garden before they've had their full lot of vaccinations. And then when they have had their full lot of vaccinations and you've established heel, a nice solid heel, then you can go through towns and cities, canals, as well as rolling countryside that we all seek out with our dog. It is important to do controlled walks in busy environments. Seek out crowds. Maybe don't do that right now, but you can still go into towns and cities, take advantage of this. It's going to be quieter. So as long as it's within your area and you're not going outside of that area, then you can still do this. You can still do this. And it will be slightly easier because there's less people, right? So use that as a nice building block, stepping stone for environmental socialization. Take them to new places. Don't just walk your dog in the same place every day, because it will become boring for you and boring for them. And if it's boring for you, you're not going to be as engaged and interacted with your pup. And if it's boring for them, they may play up. I'm not saying you need to go to a new place every day. That's not what I'm saying. But you can definitely explore your local area in the radius that you're allowed right now. And when it's not locked down, then take advantage of your local area as well as exploring outside that. Key points. Make sure your puppy is still healing when they're on grass, beach, different environments that you just want to let them off and run, even on the long line, so that they don't learn, or as soon as my feet touch grass or the beach or wooded areas, I'm just going to zoom off and I'm not going to heel. Even if I'm on the healing lead, I'm just not going to listen. So you want to get them healing for at least a few minutes and continue healing before you pop them on the long line. And what I would suggest before putting them on the long lines, you get them to sit, they're looking at you, reward, pop the long line on, and make sure they don't just dart off. you are actually getting them to stay. They're looking at you, and then you release them, because that's what you should do when you're just going to have them off lead anyway. You want it to be nice, calm and collected, not just zooming all over the place. Okay, so a brief timeline of socialization. Now, if you're getting from a breeder, this is aimed at you. But if your pup has been born in a rescue centre or something like that, then they will be doing this as well, and you can get updates from them. So it's important to be in touch with your breeder and get regular updates, video as well as photos, as well as with the mom, to make sure that you're not being hoodwinked, but that's by the by. If you've decided on a name already, I would ask your breeder to start using that name so they get used to it. But if not, you can establish it as soon as you get your puppy. But socialization starts from birth, and that's why being with their litter mates and their mom is so important. And if you are a family that have children or other pets or both, I would suggest looking for a breeder that has children in the house and other pets, or either or. It's not always possible, but it's something to bear in mind. So we're going to focus on when you have pup. So it'll be between 7 and 10 weeks, but going to be 2 to 3 months is the first milestone. So desensitize them to the lead. You've already done the name, so desensitize them to the lead and collar nice and slowly. Start on recall, healing, the leave command, all sorts of things. I've already said threshold training. I discuss this in other videos. But basic obedience, right? Then when they've had their vaccinations, it does depend, doesn't it really, on the vets and that kind of thing. But at the end of the 2 to 3 months, or within the 3 to 4 month bracket, start walking them on pavements, walking them on different materials that you've already started doing in the house, but taking them to other places and making sure their focus is on you. Then go to busy areas, crowds, like I've said already. Obviously, we can't do public transport right now, but when you can, that would be really, really good to do public transport. But get them used to your car while it's stationary, while the engine's off. Let them explore. Have a command for them getting into the car, even if you're having to pick them up at the moment, or using a ramp. Use a lead first to get them used to that, so that they're not freaking out. You could have the ramp in your garden to get them used to that as well. There is a lot of stuff we could talk about for socialization, but I'm just trying to keep it in a summary here. You can still do other things for socialization, like getting them used to livestock, horses, other animals, if it's in your area. If it's not in your area, then I'm sure you're going to come across a cat at some point on your walk, so you can get them used to how they're expected to behave around cats. But if you are able to desensitize them to livestock, then I would do that as soon as possible. But again, make sure focus is on you. Now, regarding sounds and things like that, doorbell, bin men, it's ideal to do this from such a young age, and you're going to have to deal with it anyway, because your pup is going to probably react to these sounds. So I have a video, the thank you method for excessive barking, on my YouTube channel, Abigail's Pet Services, but we actually acknowledge that noise, and we don't punish them, but we show them all is calm, nothing's worrying me, but if you continue, there's going to be a consequence of action. I'm going to remove you from this room. All right, so yes, key things for socialization. It can be done in lockdown. Remember, you need to make sure that the focus is on you, and this needs to be done in the house and garden first. Interaction with other dogs and other people is on your terms. So harness the fact that lockdown is happening, that they can't be touched by other people. They need to ignore them. Advocate for your puppy. Again, you can harness this. They can't be touched by other people at the moment, so advocate for that. Pop them behind you if needs be. Keep calm and confident. And if you're struggling, reach out to a trainer, even if it's just for a few tips. But if you're really struggling, then I would, a lot of trainers are doing puppy packages at the moment. I would suggest that. So that's the main thing. And there's environmental aspects of socialization as well as social. So it's not just throwing your pup at dogs to play or people to cuddle. Any questions, please pop them in the comments on whatever medium you're watching this on, or contact me directly.